Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having an excellent was it Thursday? This would be day 4, I think. Yeah, those are the days of the week. Yeah, day 4 of Micro Jam week here at Big Bang. And we're super excited and getting hyped up and ready to roll to make our global game jam game using Big Bang. Um, in advance of the game jam that I think is January 22nd to 28th. Yes. Okay. Yes, 22nd to 28th of January. But we're going to go ahead and fine tune our Big Bang skills up in advance of all of that. And we started out the week strong. We made, what was it, a code free game. We made some voxel art and got really familiar with the voxel object editor. And yesterday we had the excellent um, Pogo Cat, which is super charming and fun. And today I'm going to hopefully keep the ball rolling with some environments. That's on the ticket for today. So I've got here a makerspace ready to roll for us, which just has a couple of things that we're going to be using and some tips I've already kind of pre-written, mostly to make sure I don't forget, but also in case you want to reference them later. Let me just drop that link in the chat here. Fingers crossed this works. Here we go, here we go. And we're probably not going to spend too long in here at the start because I want to jump right in to making our new game, which without like completely destroying the world we're currently in to do some of the things we want to do, I'm going to make a fresh game and we're going to look at it from basic and advanced view. Get familiar with the mood settings is what I want to do first. But just jumping into edit mode, let's take a look at what's on the board. Yes, we got today we're covering everything from the mood editor, which is this up here to start us out. The shadow camera, which you can't see it now, but is the whole thing. I'll show you how to reveal it and then how to work with it. We're going to be making an interior and exterior part of environment art for our games. So I've got a couple of things that we can use to start that out with, which is like a base building you can copy from and a few door examples just to get us ready for all of that. And exteriors and everything that might come with that from like water, and then just keeping track of our entity count to make sure we don't make too massive of a game that people won't be able to play it and see all the cool things that you're trying to show them. Oh, it says error. Don't think the game is published. That's published and remixable. And I posted the non-admin version of it, didn't I? Oh, that's probably why. Try that again here. And I don't know why I'm posting the link because I'm right about to jump out of the game and get into a new game, but you can go ahead and hop in. Hey, Julia. Hiya, hiya. Feel free to go ahead and grab a remix if you want, or start templating some of these little example things I've got here if you'd like. Or just keep this tab open as we get going. But I'm basically staying in admin mode so this game doesn't time me out when I open a new tab. Okay, so going in here into Big Bang, not Domino's Pizza. I'm not hungry right now. Let's build a game. We don't do free marketing for pizza places here. Hey, Bob. Sorry, Bob. I'm taking Bob's place right now. All right, so we got a new game up and going. And we're making sure we're in basic mode just to start out. Going, and the first thing I want to do in my game is drop out the mood. settings. And we have a few that we can pick from to start with. We're on this one currently, and I think these have been updated recently. Oh, that does look pretty crisp. That's a good foggy environment. But yes, you have a few options with which to start. Oh, this one's moody. This is your horror game lighting for sure. Still waiting for some good horror games to drop. Voxel art spooky is an untapped market. Just some free inspo, throwing that one out there. I'm going to jump back over to our default light here. There's a few things to take in mind out of these here that pop up right underneath. They're all open at the start, but I'm going to close a few of them up. We're going to go through them just one by one. And I'm going to try to grab a few things here to help demo this. Get our just give me a single voxel. I keep this blank white voxel and I use it for everything. This is probably one of my most used objects. This is my magnum opus. This is my art. This white block that becomes walls and floors and everything else. But it's white and angled, and it's a tint voxel. I know these things will keep mentioning here in a little bit, but that basically means it's built with the corner of the voxel on the object's center so that I can rotate it around that like a pivot. And tint is what I label anything that is pure white at the start, which makes it easier for me to get a pure color when I'm using the color tint here. So starting out with this, I'm just going to get a nice white that still catches the light. See, I'm looking at this sort of third face here, and I'm just using this to make sure I have a good source of mixed values. I want to have like a nice, super bright, middle, super dark. And I'm going to copy this over in a few different values here. Just want to get I'll just use this one. Okay, I'm going to pull that value down more. Maybe I'll even add some color. And then I'll get the third one to be almost black. Just not pure black, because as you can see, it receives no light anywhere across it. I'm going to go for, it is black, but it is still interacting with the light. That's what we're going for. Now, why am I doing this? I'm really just trying to give myself a good setup for, oh, somebody says, I've seen a couple of horror environments that will be terrifying when finished. Oh, yes. I've seen a few fans of Five Nights at Freddy's are on the platform, and I'm kind of watching them grow and hoping they flesh out their spooky ideas. And there's inspirations from all kinds of other things and like their own horror takes. I've seen one person make like a giant spider creature that sort of chases you through the woods, and I thought that was a pretty cool game. There's a lot of untapped potential for that kind of thing. But yeah, basically the reason I have these 3 cubes out on the field here like this is to give me a good mix of value and color to help us test out our environment lights. So the first light that we're looking at, the first thing in our dropdown, is this ambient light. And if you pop open the color, you'll see that you can make this anything. And it starts out around here at base. Then the first 5 things I do when I go into any new game is take this light and I just push it up here, because I want the intensity to be the pure determination of how strong or how dark my light is, just to make it easier on myself. And I use the color box here like you would determine the amount of lumens, or how blue to yellow, or really how warm to cool your light is running. So a warm light is typically like yellows. This would be your incandescent lights that you typically buy that kind of turn your room yellow when you turn them on. Your blue lights will be your cool lights, and the middle of that is neutral white. So you have your hot is yellow, neutral is your white, and then cool is your blue. I think, if I'm remembering that right, or maybe it's vice versa. I get turned around real easy. But anyway, we're going to keep this into yellow. It starts out pretty yellow as well. And I'll just leave that there. And I'm going to use the intensity to determine our strength. And just standing here as a very pale avatar, you can tell that I'm pretty washed out. It's pretty hard to tell what's going on with my face. And all three of these faces are looking pretty similar. They're receiving the light almost the same way. And they probably should not be doing that. So I'm going to take this intensity down along with the sunlight or directional light. I'm going to try for 0.7. And it looks, oh my gosh, so much darker all of a sudden. But it'll get there. We'll go for 0.8 probably. And here, I'm also going to dip this down to 0.8. And all of a sudden, our pale figure is a lot more legible. It's not pure white. It's not even a high white. It's almost middle gray, more so than anything. So it should act as a middle gray. And you can kind of hold this bar up to it if you want. Compare those colors to help you make sure your light is acting as you want it to act. I'll make sure this didn't crash in the background. I wonder if Julia is going wild with the, yep, I see you. Already getting ahead of the class. Gotcha. Keep it up. All right, so with all that going, we have our ambient light has a little bit of color. I'm just going to close that. Our sunlight by default is pure white, and that should be okay for now. You can make it a little yellow if you want, but don't risk going too yellow with too many sources, or your managing your colors is going to be difficult to keep up with. Like, why is this yellow? I set this back to white, and then there's another light source you forgot to set back to white or something. It's just giving you too many irons in the fire to keep track of. Yeah, thanks. Zaz, yeah, you can literally put your color select from the entity next to it and just kind of, when you go to the paint store and they give you that piece of paper that has the paint on it and you hold it up and you go, close enough. It's that. I'm the kind of artist that will really hold a straight ruler up to a tablet screen and draw a straight line. So doing things like that is kind of normal. And I don't think about it as much as I probably should. Yeah, into sunlight, we have azimuth and elevation, which is one way to think of light. It's just the way that we're turning the sun around and how high in the sky, how elevated our sun should be. If we jump over to advanced mode while we're looking at it, or here, I'll do it up there. Oh my gosh, right, this changes to be all the way down here, but it's the same menu as you would see here. And here you have a little bit more of it's X and Y and Z. So whichever terminology you're more familiar with or comfortable with, you can edit the rotation of the sun on the X, Y, or Z. But it starts out at a pretty good neutral. Was it like 45, negative 45? Yeah, I think that's out of the box what we start with. And shadows. Do we really address shadows from here? No, we don't. Let's go through the things we find in basic first, and we'll come back around to shadows just to make sure we've covered our bases. So out of the box, the sky is a pretty good nice sunny day, we can mess with this a little bit by adjusting the gradient, which is, imagine this is your top up here, your middle color is around here, your white is, jump into fly camera, right down there is white. And when we edit that, we're just adjusting how high or low this is going. And that's fine and dandy. But this middle color, I'm going to copy this over to my clipboard real quick. I'm going to show you something. Close that up, go into the next menu. Whatever this is, forget that. Paste that in. I'm just giving you the first 5 things that I do. Is the first thing is I'll grab the middle color of my and drop that into the fog and use that as the basis with which I adjust the fog, because I like things to have this nice blur. And I'm just going to bring the fog in here so that we can really see things, see it in action. And some of this might be affected by another thing, so I'm going to make sure I turn that off so as not to confuse you when I'm trying to show this. All right, with AO off, just going to pull this in and setting our sky back to default. Having this middle color be our fog color makes it easier for us to transition things into the midpoint here. So what I'm trying to do is completely lose this corner, and I'm still sort of seeing it. So I'm going to see what this color here is. It's a little bit brighter. So I'm gonna, there we go. Almost perfect. Almost can't even see the corner of the earth there, which is what I want to have happen. I'm gonna push that back out. I don't know what's the default range on that. That's a lot nearer than it should ever need to be. Actually, I'm gonna go with like 500 and then maybe like 1,000. So the near point is how close to us the fog starts, and the far is how far out before it becomes purely that color with like full opacity. So it's like an opacity slider for how far you want the fog to be going. And the closer this one is to this, you'll see the thicker and sharper the fog line becomes. Easy peasy. Now I'm going to jump back over here and turn that back on. And this is adding a lot to our scene here that we're not really even accounting for yet. This is our ambient occlusion, AO. And this is helping us get these nice edges. I'm going to go over here to my cube so you really see this. See how sharp and weird it is. So I'm just going to turn that back on. You can kind of adjust how far out you want this to render. By default, I think it's 900. But if you click here, it's going to set it way in on accident. And then just probably want to push that back out because it's very easy to spot. Was it 900 or something like this? 900 far out. Perfect. I like to stay in advanced mode from here on when I'm setting up the mood, because now we get to affect things like, well, I think basic has some of this, like the vignette. And yeah, you can affect the bloom and vignette. But here in advanced, you can straight up turn them off if you want. No bloom. But we're going to leave this back on. I'm even probably going to increase it just to add some pizzazz back into our scene. And I'm just standing over here with my white cube to make sure I don't lose too much by doing this. As I see, if I just jump it up, it's going to be pretty intense. So we're going to move slowly with this. So this is why I'm typing and not just grabbing the slider. So grabbing here, just going to say point, I was like 5.1, 5.2 or something. A little bit at a time. And this should go for anything in post-process almost. You wanna start moving a little bit at a time, not miles at a time, or you're gonna lose your place. Turning the vignette off kinda gives away that it's just this little circle around here at the edge of the screen that's darkening up what we see, and we can affect how close that is to the player. And again, like if you just grab the slider and move it, it's gonna be really intense. I'm gonna go with like 0.9, 0.8 or something like this. We'll probably leave that alone. Actually, don't need to mess with it at all. And what I think, I'm just gonna grab this cube with the color in it. And it's pretty close. It's pretty much there. Grab something, we'll super saturate it. See how we're doing? This is a little bit darker than what I'm seeing over here. Or is it the saturation that we're working with? And here, I'm going to probably try starting with the saturation. Go with that. Might be okay. It might be all right. Just trying to, yeah. I think that's what I'll leave it at. I should probably turn this on because that's why I'm not seeing much of a change. Okay. Saturation 0 is where we were, and that is kind of all right as it is. But that kind of makes everything nice and vibrant in a fun way. I'm not sure. Let me look at my own avatar and see how much I want that saturation increase. Yeah, I want it. I want to keep it, even though it's a little unnatural and not exactly our cube, because I just saw it sort of brighten up the ground and the sky into something kind of nice. And with all that done, just going to say summer's environment and give that a save in case I get a little kicked from my. All right, let's see how Julia's doing over here. Got some water. I already got the particube trees and the pines. I think you may have jumped ahead into one of the examples and grabbed that. I'm not sure. Unless you made that on the spot. Like if you did that on the fly, goodness, Julia. I'm going to go ahead and save because I like what's happening in here. That's staying perfectly preserved. Now let's take a look at this water. Okay, good deal. So down here in our little to-do list, is it this one? This one. Mood. Bam. Done. Shadow camera. All right. So as shadow camera goes, we're going to need to open up this debug options to be able to see what we're doing. And I'm trying to, am I able to show it now? Yes, there you are. Okay. Whew. I was about to ruin my whole big plan. Okay, so I saw a bunch of lines pop up. Now let's take a look at the fly cam. And just zoom in way out. We can kind of see our shadow camera. And there's two of them. There's the nice fancy pantsy shadow camera, and then there's the big nasty renders everything so that it has shadows, but they're not the pretty shadows in a wider net that's happening around this. So this big box here, that's that one. And this little one here in the middle, this little yellow rectangle is our dynamic shadow camera. So I'm going to pop this open, and under shadows, we see our dynamic and our static shadow camera. Let me get a few things out into static land so we can really see how this is acting. I'm going to grab a wall object here, something thin, because that'll really kind of demonstrate how this shadow camera is sometimes your friend and sometimes not. And I'm going to pull both of these into, I don't know, a neutral blue. Or something that stands out of the background. Let's go with that. Okay. So we're seeing from within in here, grab this and pull way up in here. We've got our nice shadows, our not so nice, and our none at all. So anything outside of this big static shadow camera isn't catching any shadow at all. And anything up here next to us looks like it has nicer shadows. And just throwing this out there because this is new to the platform, we had the player character has a hero shadow now, which means no matter what that camera size is, this is the nicest shadow I've ever seen cast. It's nice and sharp, and super thankful to gamedev for making that happen. This is just so nice, especially if you hold it up next to the resolution of even our dynamic camera here. Much appreciate. Yeah, in our dynamic camera, we can adjust the size, but I want you to be wary of this because the more you scale this camera out, the more the resolution of it kind of goes down. Let me show you this, what I mean by that. So you can see here with this, as it's rendering this on a diagonal line, basically like a pixel art aliasing thing happening out here, those pixels are just getting chunkier. They are growing in scale with it. So keeping this camera small is better for the resolution of the shadows in general. But if you keep it too small, then it becomes very apparent when your character is moving between the static and shadow camera, and it can cause these strange transitions in the shadows. You can offset this, but be careful by setting this at all. This is your resolution, and you can increase it. You can go up to 4K with it if you really want to. But don't expect everyone will be ready and willing to have the nicest shadows on Earth. So go up to like 2048 if you really want to be nice about it. Otherwise, probably leave this part alone. If you just want it to work and to explore, you can probably just leave this alone. Now your static one is way out here, 4,000 units wide in size, and goes 4,000 long. And these frustum lengths are how long from here this is coming down to hit the player. And you can offset how far it is away from the player as well. So if we have a really tall scene, we want this to be very far away from the player like this. But if you're not looking up for miles and miles, you probably don't need to have the shadow camera this far off into the sky. It's not doing you any favors. It's just something to keep in mind. You don't have to change this at all. But if you want most of your scene to be beneath the player, like if you're making a dropper game, you probably want this offset to be closer to the player so that you have this bottom part of your shadow camera far enough down to see the shadows on everything beneath you. Help you get some depth perception and land those dropper jumps. So I'm going to take the center placement and pulling that down. And I want the dynamic to be within this at all times. So I'm also going to go up here into dynamic. I'm just going to pull that down because we don't need to see that far off that way. And this helps me to probably even shorten this up if I wanted to. Push it back out. All kinds of things. So experiment with this until you get the kind of shadows that you want that are both a balance of how much resolution you want and how huge an area you want it to cover. As though that is the two ends of the spectrum. You want to find the sweet middle spot between those two. Actually, yeah, I'll just keep it here and there. Just to say we did it. And this is still on the far side of it there. Still on the far side of it there. So we're good. Just going to save that. And now I don't need to look at these ugly lines anymore, so I'm going to turn that back off. Huh. Oh, I bet I know what that is. So this whole time I was like seeing this third, smaller inner one. I think that's our hero shadow. And I'm not sure if that turns off with the... So it turned on when I turned on shadow camera. That is worth noting. I'm going to write that down to mention later. And okay, got that saved. Just going to see if a stop start will... No, not really. Okay, let's just refresh it. Get rid of those lines. Ta-da! Oh, now that we've refreshed it, the static camera has updated, and the reason that I brought in a thin object is becoming clear. So it's casting a certain amount of thickness. These pixels are going into the object and being a little bit lost before they come out on the other side. But if those pixels are so huge, because the camera of the shadow camera is so large, they're probably going to travel through very thin objects, and you will see the shadows sometimes on the opposite side. And that is what is causing this texture to appear like this. All right, so we've done it. We've gone through all of the boring shadow camera stuff. And now we can start actually making something with all that we've done. Oh, hello. Hello, guest. Hello. Walk around, get familiar with the... Oh, there's flowers. Oh, and there's grass. Is it a grass object or a grass particle system? Grass patch medium. Okay, Julia, I have got such a trick to show you. I have such sights to show you. Okay, so I'm skipping ahead here because I really want to say this while Julia is working on grass. Okay, I'm going to copy this tree just because it has a particle system on it, and just going to turn the collision off because it's going to be grass here in a minute. It's not grass yet, but it will be. Okay. I'm going to label this so I can find it here in a minute. Unlike that, call it grass articles. I've been absolutely giddy ever since the last update because of this, so just stick with me. All right, so setting the offset of our particle tree to nothing. It is now where the entity starts. And I'm just going to take the emitter size and determine the field of how huge I want this grass patch to be. And I'm going to say, oh no, I don't know. Give me that back. 30 and 1 in height. And oh, turn that off. Okay. 30. Probably. Yeah, that'll do. Let's get that particle size down. Probably like 1 or 2. Okay, so now we have from that birch tree particube, we have now converted all of that into our little bit of grass field. And I actually don't need any bit of height here, but this will actually help once I sink it into the ground here in just a minute. Okay, okay. You ready for a magic trick? Okay. Non-uniform scale just dropped, which means particube grass is on the menu. Haha. Check this out. Now you have like varying height bits of grass. If you want to make it denser, you just add more particles or playtime. Say our start number should also be like 100 or something. Let's get a huge field of grass going. And then I'm just going to make this like 0.1, maybe 0.01 even. Maybe nothing. Maybe it doesn't need to be any amount of size because it is traveling with some amount of gravity somewhere else. Where is that happening? On the X and Z, it has nothing. System lifetime is fine. No gravity, no velocity. Oh, there is some velocity. Stop that. Okay, because I really want to control exactly how far apart these are. So no velocity, no gravity, none of that. So we're just turning all of that off. And here I'm just going to put 0.1 just to have a little bit of texture. And to actually get these particles to look like grass like this, I'm just going to stretch. And you can see this is the outline of where our tree object used to be. I'm just stretching this as tall as I want that grass to be and sinking it into the ground. And there you go, particube grass. Go ham, copy that, template it, do whatever you want. Even if you don't want it to be square like this, you can just go into the emitter shape. And now it's a, nicer rounded patch of grass. There we go. Since I've turned the object off, you're probably going to have to use the entity search panel if you want to grab this. But I could also put just a single voxel object in that slot just to make it grabbable. Where's my most famous voxel object? There we go. So now it should at least be a grabbable. Yeah, there you go. Particle grass field. Oh, the little lily pads are so cute. Nice bit of florals. This is so nice. Excellent work. All right, so I got so distracted. Interiors and exteriors. Whoa. If you're trying to scale the grass, you might want to use the scale menu, scale 4, so that you can access the handles that sort of do that. Goodbye, guest. Just running off into the void. It'll eventually run out, just letting you know. Don't want you to fall off the edge. Okay, I'm going to give that a quick save. Interiors, I'm going to stop dodging it. Okay, so grabbing this building here, you see that there's no door on it. This is just something that was made for Pocket Garden because I'm going to show you how to teleport from an exterior to an interior environment, or use your whole game as an interior environment. That is one option, but I want you to be able to go into a space nicely. So I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff. Or maybe I should leave it for the example. Yeah, I'm just going to grab all of this and push it to the side. Okay, give myself a quick save. And, oh, I lost my place. Yes. Going into mine, I'm going to drag that building in. There it is, shop, store, building. Out of the box, I think it's using voxel object collision, and of course it's too small for us to go into. So going to stretch this using my player to help me scale it. Yeah, it looks like I could walk through that door, and I can actually walk into it now. It's big enough that the voxel object collision is acting nicely. And now I'm going to grab a door. And let's get into our building. I've made too many doors. I don't know which one is the door that fits this building. I think it's this one. No, it's this one. Is it this one? It's close enough, I think. Yep. Perfect. There we go. We have a door. Now we can't get in. Oh no, we're locked out. Not really. We just need to make it open. But as we're doing this, I need you to keep in mind the thing about the tent voxel that we mentioned earlier, where the origin point of our object is going to matter when we're setting up a door. And I'm just going to show this to you. See, if we put the voxel object with the edge of the door at this little cross in the center of the object, it will now turn using this as like a hinge. Think of the origin point as like the hinge on which it rotates. And there's another example of this here. If you want to use this to help you remember, here is a version of this object. This is a version of a door that has the origin in the middle, and a version of the door that has the origin right here at the corner of it. And this is just going to template this because it has some door settings on it. I'm going to call it door example 1, template, door, done. Go over here, go into my door template, bam. Copy that script and paste it as new. Or you could just look up DBB door from scripts and drag it on and set it up however you want. But now our door is opening. It's opening in a bit of a weird way. I don't want it to open into the building, so I'm just going to switch that out. So it's opening 90 degrees that way. I'm going to say open -90. So turn -90 degrees towards me. And I want your collision to not be this huge, because I don't want it to be, I don't think it actually needs to have any collision at all. You're not opening it. It's proximity that's actually opening this door. So I'm just going to turn the collision off, just in case, so I don't ruin the transition of the character into the scene. You could also do things like speed up the animation length, make it take less time to open that door, or even the radius, push that out. And man, that is an angry door open. Somebody is slamming this door shut. I'm going to put that back down to 1. That's a little nicer. And I'm going to switch the easing back out, probably back in. Okay, so when I walk out, it's gonna, all right. These easings, experiment with them if you'd like. There is a tutorial that I should link that Charlie has done that shows the difference between all these easings and how to set them up, and it's really handy. I just need to find that, and I'll plug this into the microjam space probably over here after the stream so that you can continue to find all the examples you need to get through this with me. I'm going to save this, putting a lot of trust that nobody destroyed anything. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Looking nice. Okay. Got our door. Now I want to move you to the interior of this space. So I'm going to grab my friend companion cube. Nope, I didn't mean to make you that big. I say one nice thing about this cube, and it gets an ego and grows all huge. Okay. So we've got our cube. I'm going to set this to box and trigger. So when we walk into this, we're going to trigger an event to happen. And I'm going to copy this over here. And this is going to be our target. This is where we want the player to teleport. And this is where we want the player to teleport to. So this is where I want you to land. And this is where we're going to make the interior space. So I'm going to put a script on this. Teleport on contact. Contact by Charlie Zip. There we go. And now with target, it's going to look for our target object. That one over there is right here. And notify the camera. Don't think we need any VFX yet, but if you want to have some kind of noise play or a puff of smoke happen or anything like that, you can make a VFX template and plug it in there. We don't need any script on the landing one. We just want to make sure that it's set to trigger or maybe even none. And when we finish up our game, you should probably set these to invisible. I'll leave them visible for now, which I would do this just by turning the voxel object off. But right now I'll leave it on and just turn it down. So you get the idea that we're not supposed to keep these around. Cube is too big for its boots. It really is. I'm going to make a new cube one day, and it's going to be over for you. White angled tint voxel, number 3. Okay, I'm going to turn the shadows off on it because I hate seeing those little lines. It just drives me nuts. Okay, saving all of that. I'm going to press play, and let's go. Hey, there we go. We did it. We can teleport. And if we want, we can copy this and invert it such that this teleport is now the target. And we can probably rename these so that we don't start losing track of where we're teleporting from and to and what's the target for what and all this. Okay, so this is exterior to interior teleporter. And this is this, but reversed. This is going to be interior to exterior. Eventually, it will be that. Okay. I'm going to copy the script because I don't want to find it again. I'm going to paste it as new. I'm just going to change that target. We're on interior. We want exterior. That is now the target. Again, with the voxel object origin is going to help you determine, or really this object's rotation is going to determine the direction your player is facing when they come out of this teleporter. It's just something to keep in mind. So all that, let's try it again. Go in. Excellent. Now we're in our imaginary living room. And Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I broke it. What a break, how to break it. Our target is exterior to interior teleporter. Should be right here. Should be working. You run a stop start and try again. Exit the collision. Run back in. Now that is interesting. Are you set to... That's why I turned the collision off. Okay, box, trigger. So now we can trigger that script. There we are. Teleport inside. Teleport outside. Something I'm noticing, and thing about this setup is you might want this target to be separate so that the player lands out here where their camera is not scrunched up against this door when they leave the building. So I'm going to set this as our new target. Teleporter target. And since you're not teleporting from outside of the building, I'm going to turn this script off. We don't need it. Probably just remove it. This is just a target now. This is teleporting in. This is teleporting out and out far enough that our camera is not slapping into the wall. Okay. Make sure our target is refreshed. Okay. So this does nothing. This teleports us in. This teleports us out. We're facing the wrong way, but we're otherwise fine. I'm going to take this and turn it around. And there we go. Move into the space, move out of the space. Excellent. All right, saving all of that. That's all that done. We can make the inside of our building. And over here, I've left a few things out for you to use if you wished. These are a few floors and walls that are a little bit bright to start with, but they have patterns in them built in grayscale so that you can set these walls to be whichever way you want. And something to note about them is I usually make them at a certain scale so that they will behave well with the rounding step. And the reason I do that is so if I, and watch my little key visualization here, if I press Control and click on this arrow, I duplicate this object. And holding down after I do that, it's moving freely. And before I let go, if I press Shift, I am now moving in this nice, snappy way. And by default, these objects that I make that are about 10x, 20x, 30 or 40x should behave out of the box with these little rounding steps, which helps me get things nice and perfectly lined up to each other. Perfectly tessellated tiling building pieces. Just keep in mind that if you adjust the scale of these objects, you're going to have to keep this change to the rounding step in mind, because now it's going to start overlapping, right? But anything that is the same scale as this will still behave perfectly. So as long as these wall and floor pieces remain scaled to each other, that step or snapping should work for you. So all of that in mind, I'm going over here to, oh, I should probably take a sip of something. I've just been talking. Hey, Orca. Welcome. Just take a little sippy break real quick of my entirely too old coffee. Oh, okay. I'm looking for one of my floors. I want to type in a floor. And let's go with the classroom floor or makerspace floor that we've got. This nice hatched kind of straw pattern thing here. And by default, it comes out with voxel object collision, but as this thing is perfectly a box, I'm going to switch that to box immediately. I just want box collisions if I can get away with it, because they are a cleaner collision system, so that people that are running on not the nicest devices can still not have any collision issues or accidentally like get stuck in the floor or wall. Now I'm going to, hi Fred, welcome, welcome. And let's see, I get my wall and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to res it in, and the first thing I'm going to do is set it to box collision. I like this little pattern wall. I made it for Pocket Garden. I kind of just want to have these like funky patterns on my own walls in reality. A nice little pink. I'm really feeling pink lately. Okay. Turn this, and I'm just holding shift this the whole time I'm going to make sure that I'm nice and snappy. So the first time you drag something in from down here, it's probably not going to work with your snapping because it's not really technically in yet for it to know how to snap it around, which can cause some trouble if you want things to snap nice and neatly out of the box. And the way that you can fix this when you first start resing your pieces in is just set all of their positions, and you can just do this with one value over here to 0. 0 to mount. And this is going to fix that bit of snapping for me. I'm grabbing this wall. I see a box collision opportunity. And there we go. We've got a wall and we've got a floor. And I'm going to go ahead and skip these two up a scale, probably 2 or 3. I don't know, what scale did I have them in here? Yeah, 2. 2 sounds good. There we are. So we technically have, if you want your interiors to just be a little diorama, then we're already done. You just, save it, quit it, ship it. We're good. A little sippy break. My throat's starting to get to me. Okay. And we can land our little target in here. And you'll land on the inside of any interior you'd like. Another cool thing about making things within a contained scale of about 10 or so means that if you want to copy and control your entity count while you're building your environment, you can stack voxel objects into the same entity like this. I'm just copying from here, pasting in here. I know there's technically 2 going on. I'm just going to use the Z offset here. And that's about 40 exactly. So 40 only needs to move 40. So I'm going to keep doing this. And we had 40, let's go 80. And can do this to the walls as well. I'm going to copy this, paste as new, type in, was it 40 here? Nope. This is rotated, right? So it's probably on the X, isn't it? Yep, there you are. So X axis 80. And you could just copy this out as much as you want. And you can make the decision whether you want to have several floor pieces that are certain amounts of objects at a time in a single stack. Or if you want to sit here and do like, I'm going to paste this again and say X40, Z40, X80, Z40, and just grid this whole thing out, you can. I don't always super duper feel like doing that. So sometimes I'll still like, there you go. There's the whole floor. Nice and neat. So we have a few examples of it. You have this version of the wall that is multiple objects collapsed in on itself, and this one that is segments of wall. And if your wall is a solid object, you could always just stretch it as well. You're not limited by the snapping system. You make your walls as huge as you want. Maybe you can block out an entire section of building that's not really going to be an interior like this. That is within your power. So something that hasn't shown up yet because I think we're too far away from it is these floor objects have shadows cast for no reason. You're not looking underneath this. You're not looking to the side of it. There'll be walls all around it. So let's just turn those shadows off so that in case that static camera starts doing that thing where the pixels are too huge in the shadows and they start trying to render through, that does not happen. And that's also why you'll see me make walls about 1 or 2 voxels thicker than just making a single voxel thick wall. And that's just so that static shadow camera acts like I want it to act. There we go. All right, we've got a little interior going. And now you can kind of see what I mean. I think I didn't do it to all of them. So on this one, shadows are still on, and you can see this little bit of line. We don't want that line. So I'm going to take, was it this version of them? I took the shadows off. You see no nasty little shadow line here. There we go. And let's make a little interior space. And if I had like a lot of time on my hand, I would probably have set up the decoration toolkit that just dropped, some new documentation. As such, I think I should link I will come back in here and I'm going to link the decoration toolkit over here with the examples at the end of the stream, so that if you want to have your space be decoratable, you can. I know I have some furniture. Why am I stuck on this? Maybe I shouldn't just type furniture and actually type what it is that I'm looking for, like a couch. I could start with that and get this little purple couch in here. Or maybe this little minty green. Nah, I tell you what, I think I made a tintable. There we go. Tintable couch. Go pink. And then we'll just shift it to something equally pastel. Blue. Something like that. Let's get a table in here. Every interior environment's going to have one of these eventually. And I kind of like these Pride furnitures I made back when. So I'm just going to do that. I see an opportunity to make this a box collision. So I'm going to go ahead and have that be that way. And I might just make this like coffee table height. Nobody has to know. Technically, my toes are sinking into the floor, and I haven't really adjusted our collision volume to catch up. So when we set something to box, it automatically is checking the first object in the stack to see what its size is, and then making that where the box collision is. So here I'm standing on the floor. Here I'm standing on the floor. So if you're going with this stacked objects method, probably just want to set this to 20, 40, 60. Set that to 60. Nope, that's wrong direction. 60. And then we're going to adjust the offset to there. And now when we stop and start, that should refresh. Oop, now we're in our interior and we're standing on the floor a little bit better. Okay. I'm just gonna make sure that's reflected everywhere. And probably have to do the same thing over here. I'm gonna say, was it here? 60? Yep, 60 and what, 40? Nope, not that way. What? Nope, that ain't it. That one. I know my directions, don't worry about it. These collisions are done. You don't have to worry about them. All right, so I'm gonna land the player in here, I think facing this way. I want you to see our little interior space. Ta-da! Got a nice little living room going here. Maybe I could put a lamp and a plant to finish out the look. You and Orca are making environments? Ooh, I gotta go see. Hold on, I have to see their environment. Are y'all making an interior? Oh, you made a rainbow. Yes. This is excellent. Hold on, I have to take a screenshot. See if I can do that without messing anything up on stream. Excellent. Oh, this is wonderful. Let me check our entity count real quick. Make sure we're not. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, class is fine. Ooh, what's this? Spectator seating. Oh, is this for like watching a spectator swim thing? Oh, for watching the orca. I see, I see. Okay, I see what's going on over here. That's cool. Are you able to swim in the environment? Should be able to. Okay. So here on this couch, by default, if I want it to be any kind of human height to sit in, and this is pretty close, we can do a little stretch on it. But you can see, even in voxel object collision, it's like, oh no, I'm not standing on the couch like I should be standing on the couch. So I'm going to set this to box, put a height of about 5 and an offset of about 5. There. That way we can stand kind of on the couch a little nicely and not have to worry about voxel object collision not keeping up with the scale. Here I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to set a little interactable tag on it. Let's set this to networked. And if we want this to be if we want to be able to sit in this, we're going to need these two things. Hey, Azerling, thanks. Glad you like the walls. Glad you like the floors. Okay, so I'm going to get pose player on here. Pose. Am I wrong on that? Pose player stackable. It's a couch, so we should probably go with stackable. I'm going to go with interaction. Animation should be sitting, idle, or something like this. pruned are probably better. No leave. I'm just going to keep track of my directions. Our Z offset as we leave should be away from the couch so that we don't exit the sitting position into the couch and get stuck. So I'm going to set that to like 20. And just to make sure we don't get stuck in the floor, I'll set that also to 20, and we can tune it down later. As for the player offset, I'm really not going to know until I trial and error. Okay, so we're going to need a Y offset. But we can sit in the couch now. Easy peasy. I'm going to go with a Y offset of, I don't know, let's start with 5. No, that's a little too much. I'll go with like 2 or something. All right, it's a very comfy couch. We're really sinking into it's one of those couches that has been more plush than couch, you know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna give that a save. Now I have this nice little prideful little living room. All right, I wanted a lamp. I forgot about the lamp. And let's just set that as well to box, because I can see an opportunity for that to be set to box. And I think that I have a plant somewhere in my templates. Plant. Shrub. Why? What did I call it? Oh, but that's more of an exterior plant. Bush. Do I have a bush? Particle pile bush. That kind of works. I'm gonna shrink that down. And let me put it over here to the side for a second. I'll grab a vase. That'll work. And let's give it some color. I don't know, some kind of fun color. Go with purple. I'm going to take this particle tree, little particle system. I'm going to paste it in here. And, oops, didn't mean to teleport out. Okay. I'm going to adjust our particles to not be massive. Maybe 5 and 5 particle size. Okay, maybe 10. Okay, so now it's just going a little too far away from the vase. Okay, the velocity spread is fine. We want this nice sort of half circle, and that's how you get that. Particle lifetime is pretty wild. All the way out there. Velocity is pretty high. What's the scale like on it? 0 and 0. So the first thing I'll probably try is bringing this down. There we go. And then bring it up. I'm going to offset this away from the voxel object origin. Now we have a nice little shrubbery. And I could do this entirely from scratch, but the reason I'm kind of copying it from existing particle systems is that could be its own entire stream. Just editing particles in VFX could be its own extra super duper thing. So I'm going to leave out a whole bunch of examples, and one of those is oh, that's cool. Is that a little TV screen? Oh, it's animated. Okay, I don't want to spoil the surprise. I'm coming back to that. Okay. So just to give you some particle cubes that you can borrow from, when we first dropped particle cubes, we made this little example game of some ways that you could use it, being like grass, florals, leaf piles on the ground, entire trees, various kinds of shrubbery, fire. So if you want to get some easy template copies of particle systems used for environmental objects, definitely go in here, remix this game, and then save some templates, much the way that Zaz has been shown in the past few days. And if you want to revisit any of the things that I'm talking about in more detail, or just have them written down on paper in more formally than I'm doing here, this is sometimes one of the starter games, but it's not in the rotation at the moment. So here it is for you to go into and grab a remix of this. You'll see how to set up interiors, exteriors, water volumes, doors, everything that we're talking about here is also talked about with easily duplicated examples in this game if you want to take this teleporter and remix that game into something you can use and copy from. I think even sitting in stuff has been covered there. Just gonna look, got my own little living room. But I feel like it's not much of an interior space because I can still see the sky. As soon as it rains, this whole living room is going to be ruined. So let's make it a little more interior-like. And I've already got one example in here of something that we can use to help make that happen. I'm just going to go over here so I can show that. So the typical render settings in our makerspace is this nice gray void that just makes for a good blank canvas. That is a massive cube. It is a mystery what's going on. Okay. I'll check it out here in a little bit when I think it's more ready to be seen. But yes, here we have this nice gray environment that makes for a good blank canvas. So we're kind of in an interior, but we have a lot of open space to, go out here and explore, and do things with. And I'm just going to jump into this little trigger volume, much like we set up with the teleporters earlier. This is a box trigger, and the script on it is called change mood trigger. So if I step into it, all of a sudden, the mood of the game shifts to this sort of sunsetty, misty blues and purples. The fog has changed to blue. It looks nighttime over there in Julia's pretty forest environment. And if I leave, it goes right back to our nice little blank canvas mood setting. So I'm going to leave this for you to grab a templated version of. Go ahead and unlink that from there. Call this mood trigger volume. And make a new template. Save it as that. And I'm going to write a save here because I kind of want everyone to be able to preserve their work. Oh, hello. Hello. Welcome to the makerspace. We're making environments. Oh, they're hanging out in a swimming volume. Okay, that's why. Orca Encounter SeaWorld. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So we're going to go see the orca show. Cool environment. Awesome. Okay, so with that copied, saving it again. Saving this too. Got an itchy saving finger today after having the power outage from the other day. Caused me to lose a lot of work. Okay. Mood. I'm going to my templates. Not looking for a vase. I'm looking for this mood trigger volume. I'm going to fix that rotation. And all that said, now that we can non-uniformly transform whatever we want, I'm just going to stretch this to fit our space here, so that as long as you are inside the space, you are colliding with this volume. It is going to be more interior friendly. And I'll leave this really covering everything. Hopefully, while you're in it, you won't see it. But if we make it nice and tall, we won't have to worry about this as much. I'm torn between, do I want to let this be entirely invisible so that we don't block our camera hit into the thing in a weird way? Yeah, I'll do that. You can search in this example mood trigger volume if you want to be able to find it, or I'll use Gizmo script to more formally hide this later. And you can see that thing with the these guys casting shadows. They should not be. Unless they're like interior facing walls, and you can probably have these cast shadows being on. And then you'll have to answer the question of, do you want to go with a stretch friendly wall instead of having to tile them out in or on the object and then have them shadow into each other? This is just little decisions that you have to make with your environment as you go. But knowing what you want from the start is always nice. I don't always know what I want when I start. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy these walls out. Pressing Control, click to duplicate, holding Shift and click to move, so that I have this nice, snappy little space. And I can put this either up against the door, or I could set it up like there from before, but that's just, you got the point when we set it up the first time. I'm not going to worry too much about it now. But you can take something like a door and a threshold object to help sell the illusion. And because the wall's shadow is off, I'm going to turn those off there. Door, same deal. Door example. So I'm going to Control click to grab both of these and scale them together. There we go. Turn that off. Let's just copy the door script that we already got working nicely. And with the game stopped, because this door script and I fight sometimes. If you copy it while the game is running, sometimes it will cause your door to rotate with odd behaviors. So I just make sure that the game is stopped before I copy it. If I'm starting from scratch, it doesn't matter. Oh, that was the bad example door. Uh-oh. That's not rotating like I want. Just switch that out with my door that is door example 1, I think. There you go. Okay, and it's opening into the wall. I don't really want that. There we go. That should flip out the right way now. I think I have a threshold object that has the mask included. Doors sealed example. And while this one isn't tint friendly, it already has some colors on it. It is going to hide the fact that there is no actual hole in the wall a little bit more. Just kind of gives the sense of some transition happening. And doing this is just another one of those tricks that we can use to keep the entity count down. It's like the alternative idea would probably be, I'm going to copy this and I'll have one wall object on this side of the door and one over here. And then I'll have to have another, I don't know, flipped over version of it here, and then hide it with like the ceiling so that you never see that part. And then there, now you have like 3 times more objects than you need, or 2 times more objects than you need. And I don't like to do that. I can make these little hidden transitions. I will. Uh-oh, got a little gap. I think I may have forgotten to hold Shift ever so perfectly. But that's okay. There we are. It's all done. I'm just going to make sure to turn the collision off. Now we have a nice little interior environment. And to help set up the mood, I'm going to go ahead and stop all of this. And see, here's the collisions on the floors. Perfect. They are, but do I really want to do it? Okay, I will. I'm going to take this way out here. Into the void we go. It's okay because our floor collisions should be good and hunky-dory. But if we ever feel like doubtful that some players on low-end devices may still slip through the floors, we can just go in here, and now that we have non-uniform scaling, stretch these floors out a little bit. Make sure they are still at ground level. There. Give that a save. And now I want to grab that mood, which probably didn't actually grab with it, did it? Where are you at? Yep, you are way over there. Get over here. Now we can adjust these mood settings to whatever we want our interior to be. Kind of on the fly here. So what it's changed is actually changing what's happening here. So all of these settings are being affected by this script, and they are one-to-one the basic viewport view of the render settings. So whatever you want to be changed in this script, while standing in it, go ahead and make your changes as you wish. And let's see, I don't want it to be so dark. Maybe I want it to kind of be either pure black or not pure black, like a soft black or pale or neutral. That's what I'm going to do. Let's get this nice neutral kind of color. We could do that. We can make it deeper in the middle a little for just a little variety. Okay. And remember, whatever we change over here, we're going to need to copy into our mood volume object and grab that back. Here. There you go. So as I get this to places where I like it, I'm going to copy it here, copy this from here, and there, over there. It's gradient midpoint 5, fog, burple. Probably want to dial the fog in. This is easier to do while we're seeing it. So I'm going to find the farthest corner of the room to help me bring this in. Just walking it one at a time. I don't think I want this to be super apparent. Just want to darken the corners just a little bit. So let's see, 170, 570. Yeah, any more than that gets a little too aggressive. Okay. Orca should make an orca doodle. I agree. Oh gosh, you said that 10 minutes ago. I was so absorbed. Okay. So fog near is going to be 170. Copying that over. Fog far, 535. And maybe some of this other stuff could say more or less the same. All right, I'm gonna walk out and walk back in. Get a little interior. So if you want to consider how the camera is moving around in an interior space, there are some things like you could script the camera to be frozen in place, but we're kind of going script free at the moment. So what I'm going to do is just add camera ignore. And if your walls are interior facing walls like this, it's kind of nice to do this. So if you want to have like a little alcove and a little nook somewhere, and you don't want the camera bumping into it, camera ignore. And this is also something you can apply to furniture so that your player camera does not get bunched up on you. See, right now I'm standing up against a wall that does not have camera ignore on it. And now every time I come over here, my camera is hitting up against it and being pushed towards the player. And that's closer to my face than I ever want to really be. So I'm going to put camera ignore on it. And now it is behaving like this, which helps you look around corners if you want, helps you keep that transition from causing your camera to bump around on everything. And you can apply this to furniture, especially if it's freestanding. Like if I have a lamp hanging out here in the middle of the room, I probably want it to also have something like camera ignore. Hanging furniture, you probably want it to have that so you don't bump onto that. See. All right, maybe I can give our little space here like a bathroom or something. Do I have any like tile floor? Kinda. I don't know. I'll go with this for now. Kind of matching the pattern on the walls. And just gonna sink that down. Give it a different kind of color here. And because it's on top of a floor that already has collision, I'm going to set it to no collision. So that's one last calculation that has to be done, right? So we have some divisions of space within the house, some furniture, some nice wall collisions, camera collisions, teleportation, mood settings, separating an interior environment from an exterior environment. And you can use these tools however you want to build out your space. You can see some examples of this in the environment example game, but I can also link towards things like Roomies, which is a game that Zaz and I made recently, which is all first person, so that we don't have to worry about that camera ignore, but it has more fleshed out interior environment going on than I can really do on the fly here in 30 minutes. But with the time we have left, I just want to go into a little bit of exterior space environment design tips. Just going to go over to our board. I think we can knock a few things off of this list now. We got doors. That's done. Entity count. We kind of talked about it. We can talk a little bit more about it as we go. Let's see. Got interiors are done, exteriors, and we have water mechanics and swimming on the mind as we come towards designing exterior environments. So we've talked a little bit about trees and particle grass and how you can achieve that look. And I think that somebody is already over here really putting it into practice. That's so cool. Did you just duplicate the NPC to be like, oh, I'm hiding over here now? Is he saying something different? No? Is it just all the same? Oh, hey, he's about making environments. Awesome. Okay, maybe I should actually go over there and talk to the NPC. Is it okay if I go and see? Is it ready for me to look at? Okay. Okay. I see a smiley emoji. That must mean good. Julia Plays made this during the Micro Jam Day 4. Today was about making environments. Smiley face. Fun using particles. Awesome. I hope you template these particles and use them for all your environments because there's some cool things going on in such a small space. Oh yeah, sorry. Hope you enjoy what Julia made. I definitely do. Watch the Day 4 stream here, youtube.com/.pp. Aw, thanks. Have fun. Julia Plays Forest. This is excellent. Okay, I also want to take a look at Orca's. Is that a Jeep spawner? Of course it is. I want to take a look at Orca World as well here. Shamu and Corky, and you get to swim with them. That's awesome. Orca encounters SeaWorld. And Spiffy Pilot is like the trainer for the orcas. Aw. That's cool. You've even like sort of framed at the stage at this nice giant screen. So I'm going to try something. You don't have to keep this setting here, but there's something you can do with text components. If you want them to stay flat on the screen like this, you can just pop the text element down. There's this thing called track camera. So any way I turn the camera, the text is trying to face it. And you can turn that box off and it will face flat on any surface. You'll just have to keep in mind the way that the object is facing so that it is always facing like the direction of the screen as you want it to go, like this. I'm going to undo all of that so that you have your settings just as you left them. And it's just something that you can do if you wish. This is an awesome trip to Orca Encounter SeaWorld. I'm going to sit on the bleachers for a minute. Just enjoy the view. And while we're here and thinking about exterior environments. Right now we're swimming around in a water volume. And as we exit it, you can see that our mood settings are changing exactly as it was with the mood volume script that we used for the interior environment just a few minutes ago. It's doing the same thing over here. Whenever you enter and exit a water volume, it is just adjusting the mood settings, and you can have control of that through the default player and the default camera. And let's go over here and take a better look at what I'm trying to say here. So I've pulled out a water volume and a little splashity effect, and I want to apologize in advance because I'm going to have to stop the game to show something. So over here we have a little splash pond with something called DBB splashable on it. You don't need to put the script on to get water to work. I just have it on this puddle so that I can demo a little bit of VFX. Right here is the VFX that I want to show you, and this is just playing a little sound effect. And as any VFX should, it shouldn't hang out after it's done playing. So it has destroy after delay on it. And what happens is when this is splashed into, it plays, right, summons or starts this voxel template or this VFX water splash template. So this voxel object shows up, it plays a sound effect. After 0.7, it removes itself. And this voxel object is animated. And you can see that here. It just plays a little splash. And that's it. And I can set this onto the player template. Let's take a little look at the player template. Sorry, everybody, for stopping the game on you. Just needed to be able to show that. So over here on the player template, we have DBB character movement swimming, and this is what is helping us swim through the environment. Here's DBB splasher. So basically, this script, this little puddle that we jump into and summon that little VFX that was right here when the game was stopped. This is acting like that script acts, but it's on the player template by default. So any changes that you want to make, you're just going to want to copy out the player template, much like Zaz has shown us on the previous days. So I'm not going to walk us through all of that again. And whatever VFX template that you make to adjust how you land in the water, if you want it to be like green water and you want the splash effect to also be green, you make that little template and you want to set that template here under splash or ripple effects. You can experiment with this script here if you want to affect that. Character movement swimming, if you want to affect how fast you're swimming through a volume. Or accelerating how fast you drift to the bottom, that would be your gravity. But if you first, well, let's do this first. Interacting with it from this surface only is what's causing that splash to play. Bam. So only when you hit your water volume from above is it going to do that for you. Play that little splash VFX that you want it to happen. And as for the render settings, if you want to change those while you're in the water, that is being affected through the default camera. So over here under underwater camera effect is where you may want, if you like have, again, like a green water volume, this is where you'll find those settings and you can turn all of these to green if you want, or say how intense you want the fog, much the same way as the other render script that we were adjusting. And you don't have to save this or push it to any template, but you can template out any kind of camera you want. And if you want to change the camera entity, you can do that. So say if I wanted to have a backup camera for just looking at a certain shot. I have this camera now. I just control clicked and copied it out. And just so that you can keep track of it, I'm going to turn that off. And we have all of these other things still on it, but you could turn off the aiming reticle. You could adjust your underwater camera effect. You can template it if you want to, but you don't have to for use in other games. Hello, Squid Kid. Welcome, welcome. We're just talking about some exterior environment tips and tricks. So if I set it to, this is camera 1, but default camera entity over here is just camera. Set this to camera 1. And now we are looking at the world through this camera that is no longer following the player because I turned that script off. So you don't have to stop, start, push to template, anything about the camera is all I really wanted to enforce with that. I'm going to go ahead and delete that so we can set this back to camera. Press play and we're good to go. Sorry again for the stop start, everybody. I should really announce those every time I do it. But we're adjusting the player and camera and it just got to happen. All right. So we've gone over a little bit of water, but we haven't actually said like the first thing that you do when you want to start with a water volume is actually making sure that it behaves as a water volume. And we're going to start this from scratch with, you guessed it, box, cube, light angled tent voxel, the classic. I'm going to sink this into the floor a little bit and I'll make it, I don't know, blue. It's classic. Pull the opacity down. And just going to copy this so that we can get into and out of our little floating pool. But if you want to do this quickly, you could also just go into the featured and drag this pool into the game. I find it's a bit massive, so I'm going to go over here. This also works, and you can just copy this water volume out of it if you want to just use that. Oh, there's so many pieces. But over here with our basic object, I'm just going to switch this to box trigger, I believe. And the tag that we really need to be on this is just called water. Just want to add the water tag to anything that needs to behave like water. And camera ignore. Again, just keeps the camera from bumping into the edge of it. And now we have a little water volume that splashes, that we can swim into, that behaves with the render settings that we choose. There you go. That's water. You just need to drag in a cube and add the water tag. Oh, this is the Orcadoodle. Awesome. Did you make that just now? Oh my gosh, I kind of want to leave a like on it. I gotta find this object here in a bit. Maybe I can just go into edit. Voxel objects. This game. Oh, where's the frog? I'm gonna have to find that frog later. Orcadoodle by Orca. Awesome. Excellent. Everybody's having fun zooming around. Well, this is cool. It's like a talk show happening over here. I wonder what the plan is. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Let's get to last little bit of exterior environment, and I'm just going to set up a couple of things in our empty game over here. Let's see. Have some distant object mountain here. And I built this on the half. I built this diagonally so that it could be nice and pointy, distant mountains. It's a very small object, but it shines when you make it huge and push it way out here. And if we copied our birch tree template, did I? I don't think it did. Tree particle leaves. Now I'm scared that I have so many of birch tree particube. I'm going to call that something new, unlink it. I'm going to make a new one. Save it. I'm going to go over here, featured in mine, and there's my birch tree. Bam. Perfect. And did I copy out the particube grass? Oh, I've lost it. Where'd it go? Grass. Where'd you go? It's going to set you as a template. Collision's off, right? Okay, good. Grass particle template. Save. Go over here. Pull out our grass particles. Whoa, that's bigger than it needs to be. And let's just move that a little bit over and in here. Sink it into the ground. Have a little bit of exterior environment going on. Let's get some cloud going. I have this little cloud curve I use for almost everything. I'm just going to make it massive, like a cloud. And we could do this as well with particubes. In that example game that we have over here also has an example of particubes being used to make clouds. But just for quick reference here, I'm going to set this like this. You can use the new non-uniform scaling if you want to sort of stretch this or shrink it, or maybe the clouds are very flat. Maybe it's a sort of dry day. But for sure, I want to turn the clouds off on it, just so that it doesn't do that thing between the static and dynamic shadow camera. We don't need collisions on this. So those are going to go. And I'm just going to create a little pivot. Actually, I could use this. Let's do this. This is probably going to demonstrate this a little bit better. This little cloud circle object I made. I don't remember when. And you can, actually it'll keep you for a different example. Add a little bit of a spin on this. Spinning pretty quickly. Maybe we don't need it to go that fast. Like 5. Nope. 1. Yeah, real slow. Squish that down a little bit. And stretch it out. You can even kind of copy this, shrink it, copy and shrink it. Now we have this whole kind of cloud circle thing going on. probably not the best version of this look. If I were making a huge scene with like a mountain cresting through these, it would probably look a little bit better. As such, I should probably just stick with one. So that we can show that we can have some clouds. They're a little bit moody with the light behaving on them like that. So I'm just going to go into here and turn this emissive up so that it looks like a sort of cartoony, flat, white bit of cloud in the sky. Give that a save. So we have some distant objects, some nearby. I didn't quite get around to making a little pond, and I'm going to try to do one really fast. One of my first objects I ever made, I think. It's just this little bitty pond. And I'm going to duplicate this because I've made this object specifically for that shell object. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to find my pond. Pondifiable water body. And switch that out. It's made exactly to scale. I'm going to drag it into place here. And sink it in. Turn the opacity down. Do I want to do that? I don't know. Maybe if I bring this up, then it's not going to be as funny looking. If I increase the saturation, maybe even bring the value of the hole down a little here. So I want it to be saturated, but a little see-through. That should do. It doesn't need to cast shadow. It's fully contained. And I'm going to add water, just so we can prove that we did it. And we made a little splash. Oh, I'm noticing something. Because this water volume collision, it should have some collision, I think. Yeah, or it's not going to splash. So I'll set it to voxel object, or actually just a box, because I think it's kind of poking out. Set it to voxel object. And trigger. There we go. Now it's splashable. We got a little splash pond for our little house environment. Ooh, and I think we just made it to time too. Did we do it? Did we do everything on the list? I'm gonna be so happy if I go over there and see that we did everything on the list. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Awesome. 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 Okay, interior spaces tip. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I think we did it. Okay, so in this final little bit of time, I'm just gonna make sure that's saved and it's closed. And come over here. Just want to take one more last look because I think Julia's doing something. Oh, I think Orca wants me to see. And then I'll come see what Julia's got. I'm going to splash. Bloosh. 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 Orca encounters SeaWorld. A nice water color. Love that it's nice and splashable now. This is an excellent little bit of environment, Orca. And let's see what Julia's made over here. Is that a frozen? What is that? Oh, it's for the... right, that's the new template toy. AFK corner eating. Oh, excellent interior environment skills, Julia. I hope you enjoyed your breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Thank you all for coming to the makerspace and making your interiors and making your environments, and for putting up with me talking for a solid 2 hours straight. I'm about to go get a tall glass of water, and hope you all have an excellent rest of your day. There's one day left for the Micro Jam, and that I'm trying to find the what's on the docket for Micro Jam Friday. It's Coding Jam, right? Y'all are going to be joined by the most excellent Charlie while y'all make some exciting player rewards in TypeScript. So be sure to tune in, same time tomorrow, same place, same time. And hope y'all have an artful rest of your day. Have a great time making some environment arts. Thank you for tuning in. And I shall see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.